Stanley Obi walked out of court. He was relieved that he finally ended his court battle with his ex. The father and his ex, Sarah Mudge, had been in a custody dispute over their children, sending 3 out of the 4 kids to live with him. Stanley was happy things worked out in his favor, but Sarah was devastated. The mother of 4 often posted pictures on Facebook, presenting herself as a loving mother whose children gave her, quote, strength. Sarah lost her kids, so she also lost her strength. And some may simply say she lost her mind. Take a second to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Click that notification bell for all updates. And if you're watching from Australia, shout out to all of you. Go ahead and let me know and drop Australia below in the comments. The 33-year-old, originally from Nigeria, brought the kids back to his home in New Bath, Queensland. Stanley was extremely happy about the arrangement. No more fighting, and he could concentrate on his kids while also working as a nurse in a retirement home. Sarah, originally from South Australia, was born in 1991, and before she met Stanley, she was living as a single mother with a passion for photography. Sarah offered her services to families part-time, capturing their moments with their small children, but most of her time was spent with her own kids as a stay-at-home mom. Stanley created a life for himself in Australia. That's where he met Sarah. The two locked eyes at a Christmas party. They had a one-night stand, and little did Stanley know that it would end up changing his life completely. Stanley was a hardworking man, nurse by trade. He didn't have any kids at all, while Sarah, she didn't have any education and already had a child. Some would say that Sarah just wasn't on Stanley's level in so many ways. But he got a call from her. Sarah told him that she was pregnant. Although he didn't plan to be with her long term, it was supposed to be a one-night stand, he wanted to be responsible and didn't want a child growing up without a father. He got into a committed relationship with Sarah. They started dating and fell very much in love with each other. Wanting to take responsibility for his family, Stanley quit his job and opted for a new one that would not only allow him to provide for them, but also gave him a better schedule to be able to spend time with them as well. That's when he left the hospital and began working as a nurse in the retirement home, while Sarah continued her side hustle taking photos of clients as a family photographer. In 2020, around the same time as the pandemic, Sarah decided to take time off in order to focus on having more kids. The couple had issues here and there, but one of the biggest was Sarah telling Stanley that she wanted 8 kids, and he didn't approve of that plan. She was also concerned about safely giving birth to all of these kids, so she wanted to get it all done before she turned 35. This was one of the couple's biggest disagreements. He outright told her he did not want a bunch of kids that he couldn't take care of and refused to ever take welfare. But by 2021, Sarah was pregnant again and gave birth to their youngest child. Stanley took responsibility and told her that he would take care of the 4 kids, including the one that was not his. But there was no way that he could afford 8 of them. He told her no, it's not happening. But Sarah, she was adamant about having a very large family. She wanted more, so she told Stanley that she didn't care if he stayed with the family or not. He could get gone. Oh yeah, Miss Sarah got really disrespectful. She told Stanley that he was just a sperm donor, and she would look for another sperm donor to have the other kids with, regardless of his opinion. We're talking about a man who provided for her, but he even took responsibility for her other kid that she had before she met him. Provided shelter, food, worked hard on his nursing assignments so that Sarah could be comfortable. So comfortable that she thought that she could just lay up and keep having babies when Stanley told her he couldn't afford anymore. They were already at capacity financially. A responsible man, an active father, and she disrespected him, calling him a sperm donor. Truth is, Sarah saw Stanley as disposable. She said, "Go ahead and leave. You're just a sperm donor, and I'll find another to help me make other kids." That right there is the reason why they broke up. Stanley wasn't going to stay and put up with her foolishness any longer, especially when Sarah went online publicly announcing on Facebook that she was a single mother and she was looking for sperm donors, saying they needed to be of African descent because she wanted all of her kids to have similar features so they all looked alike. None of the black men took her up on her offer. Stanley had had it up to here with Sarah and her shenanigans. He filed for custody of the children in court, which also set off another chain of events, opening up another can of worms. Stanley trying to prove to the court that he was the best parent, and Sarah attempting to discredit him in every way. The issue between the ex-lovers didn't get any better as Stanley continued to fight for custody of his kids. This made Sarah so upset. In her mind, she's thinking that he was trying to take her kids away. She wrote that her kids meant everything to her, saying, "When you have no strength left, you have your children. When you are tired, they energize you. And when your heart is mourning, they bring joy to your soul. To my babies, I thank you for choosing me." She often took pictures of the kids and had a homeschooling schedule where the oldest kid was a year above grade level. Sarah was a dedicated teacher, often sharing that her children were well taught by her, and she told the court if they ended up with Stanley, they would probably have to go to public school, and the oldest would have to repeat the year that she spent homeschooling him. Not only did she say that the kids living with Stanley would be detrimental to their education, she also told the judge they wouldn't be safe with them either. Sarah posted in a DV social media group on Facebook, telling everyone in the group that if something happened to her and her kids and they were found unalive, it would not be a mistake, and to make sure to point all fingers at Stanley as the culprit. She tried to make up false claims on Stanley, but after a thorough investigation, the police did not believe her, and they thought she was only making up false allegations in order to win their court battle. All of her claims were proven to be untrue, and the judge was able to see that Stanley was the most level-headed and the best parent for the kids. On March 9th, an Australian judge awarded Stanley custody of 2 of his kids and guardianship of a third, his stepchild, who was 5 years old, and then his children, 2 and 3 years old. The judge allowed Sarah to keep the infant that was born the year before. Even though Sarah had tried to ruin his reputation and lie on him, it didn't work. Stanley had been living in the new home he had built for 6 months, had a new girl, her name Coletta, and now he had his 3 kids as well. Sarah would no longer be able to alienate him and paint a picture that he was a sperm donor. But him winning the case, it broke Sarah. She wasn't able to have her way. That's when she decided that she would come up with a plan to fix everything. After losing in court earlier in the day, Sarah found herself in the middle of the night on March 10th, jumping in her car heading over to Stanley's house. She stopped by the gas station on the way over. It was time for her to execute her plan, a plan to make Stanley pay for winning their court battle and taking what she believed was her most prized possessions away. By 3 a.m., Sarah was at Stanley's house. She broke into the house and went into his room, where the 2-year-old had been sleeping along with Stanley and his girlfriend, Coletta. The bitter, angry woman threw gas on her ex and his new woman and started a fire. Stanley tried saving his children as the fire erupted and kept growing wilder. Fortunately, the 3 kids, they were able to get out of the house along with Coletta. Stanley was still stuck inside, but one of his neighbors ran into the burning house and pulled him out. No one could save Sarah. She was still in the house that she set on fire.
Tonight, a woman is dead and a man is fighting for life after being doused in petrol and set alight during a shocking domestic violence attack south of Brisbane.
Fighting flames to help the man escape, residents are in complete shock. Police describing the scene as one of the worst they've faced.
Early morning tragedy on a Logan Street. Running from this burning home, police say aged care worker Stanley Obi and his new girlfriend were doused in petrol and set alight before escaping to the street during a disturbing domestic violence attack.
We believe the person who does not reside at that residence somehow gained entry, and then once in there was able to throw petrol around.
Parking this car in bushland, breaking through a bedroom window, this is the woman accused of arson. 9 News understands Sarah Mudge was in a long-term relationship with Stanley Obi, which ended about 6 months ago.
Police have had contact with the male victim and an ex-partner in relation to domestic incidents.
Once again, we see the complexities of domestic and family violence.
Trapped in her own trail of destruction, the 31-year-old died inside a hallway before police could get to her. It's understood a neighbour ran into the burning home to help Stanley and his new partner. Family telling 9 News this is unbearable, saying the 33-year-old had only recently moved here and was the happiest he's ever been.
I was actually shocked and I was wondering what actually happened.
Tonight, the aged care worker is in hospital with critical burns to 90% of his body. Doctors say he may not survive. His partner is in a serious condition.
It's a quiet area. We love this area. So this is a shock to us as well.
The damage inside this home is so extensive, investigators say it could be days before they can officially determine what happened here. Tonight, forensics remain on scene, combing through rubble and also going through neighbouring homes where residents tried desperately to conduct first aid. A community fundraising initiative has been set up for Obi's recovery. Meanwhile, a coroner will investigate the death of his former partner.
The father was rushed to the hospital with burns to 90% of his body, where he fought to survive for 17 hours.
A 33-year-old man has died in hospital after a house fire south of Brisbane. Talissa Saganto is in Logan. Talissa, what happens?
Good morning, Joe. Well, sadly, police have confirmed this morning that 33-year-old Stanley Obi passed away in hospital overnight after suffering burns to 90% of his body. It comes after his former partner, Sarah Mudge, broke into his Logan home in Newbeath and used an accelerant to set light to the home. At the time, Mr. Obi and his new partner were asleep inside. They did manage to escape and get help from neighbours, but obviously Mr. Obi was critically injured. Now, Ms. Mudge also died in this house fire overnight, but police are yet to recover her body because there was so much damage to this house that it's been deemed unsafe to access. So it is expected that this will happen today once investigators can get back inside. Now, the other woman, she was taken to hospital as a precaution. She's expected to speak to police today. Obviously, investigations here are still underway and are in their early stages, Joe, but I can tell you that Obi and Mudge did have domestic orders taken out against each other.
After sunrise, the fire department, they pulled what was left of Sarah out of the house, and now all 4 children are without both Sarah and Stanley. Sarah's plan fully executed. If she couldn't have the kids, Stanley wasn't going to be able to have them either. His new girlfriend, Carletta, she was applauded for her quick thinking actions that helped to save the kids' lives. And then you had one of Sarah's friends who came to her defense. She further explained that even after the breakup, Sarah never denied Stanley access to the kids and had often gone out with him on outings to help him with the kids. She explained that she must not have been in the right state of mind, saying that taking the kids away from her pushed her to a point of no return. There are fathers all over right now in courts who love their kids too. Their kids are being ripped away from them as we speak. Mothers getting full, complete custody of them. Fathers getting a child support bill and a silly schedule to see their kid once or twice a month out of 31 days. But as soon as you give fathers like Stanley complete custody, toxic, insane mothers like Sarah, they literally lose their mind. And in that case, you would think that fathers would be losing their minds every second. But let's go ahead and get the conversation started. Sarah's friend was blaming Stanley for the incident, mentioning that he shouldn't have taken the kids away from her because Sarah wasn't keeping them away from him. What do you think about her excuse for Sarah's actions? Let me know below. Want to see more content like this? You can support the channel too. Links to Cash App and PayPal are below. Ladies, fellas, want a balanced analysis, want the truth from a woman's perspective? Then you're going to want to subscribe to this channel and don't forget to like and share.